a young black girl in a lavender dress reaches for a dinner roll at a country club charity gala. Her fingers barely touch the crust before a hand clamps down on her wrist and yanks her backward. This is not a playground. Neighborhood children do not eat here. The girl's plate hits the marble floor. Shrimp skewers scatter. Sparkling cider pools around her shoes. The woman pulling her is 63 years old, silver-haired, wearing a sequined ivory gown and a committee pin that says Chairwoman. 20 guests watch. Some look away. One laughs behind a napkin. Then a voice from the podium microphone cuts through the dining hall. "That is my daughter." The woman's hand opens. But that is only the beginning, because the mother standing at that podium is tonight's keynote speaker, the gala's largest individual donor, and a former Canadian Armed Forces combat engineer who served 2 tours in Kandahar. And what she does next, what she does not do next, will dismantle a 112-year-old institution from the inside out without raising her voice once. Hey, I'm Blake. I dig up stories people try to bury under politeness and tradition. This one starts at a country club 40 minutes west of Toronto. A black girl in a lavender dress, a broken plate, and a question that will follow her home. Stay with me. This one cuts deep. Tamika Dadson is 34 years old. She is the founder and CEO of Citadel North, a cybersecurity consulting firm that holds contracts with 3 federal departments, 2 provincial governments, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Her company employs 280 people across offices in Toronto, Ottawa, and Halifax. She was named to the Governor General's Innovation Award shortlist last year. She donates anonymously to 6 youth programs across the GTA. She speaks at conferences in a voice so calm that audiences lean forward without realizing it. None of that is the part that matters tonight. The part that matters is Jane and Finch. A 2-bedroom apartment on Driftwood Avenue, 3rd floor, radiator that clanked all winter and went silent every February when the boiler gave out. A mother named Cynthia, who worked the overnight shift at a long-term care home in North York and came home smelling of institutional soap and exhaustion. A father whose name Tamika learned from a birthday card that arrived when she was 7 and never arrived again. Tamika ate cereal for dinner 3 nights a week. Not the good cereal. The no-name brand in the yellow bag that came from the food bank on Norfinch Drive. The one where volunteers smiled too wide and asked her mother how she was doing in a voice that meant something else entirely. Tamika carried the bag home on the bus once a month. She learned to hold it against her body so the logo faced inward, so no one on the 36 Finch West could read it and do the math. One afternoon in grade 5, Tamika's class went on a field trip to a conservation area north of the city. The permission form cost $12. Cynthia signed the waiver but forgot the envelope. The teacher, a woman named Mrs. Aldridge, pulled Tamika aside in the hallway. She spoke quietly. She said Tamika could sit in the library while the class was gone. Tamika sat in the library for 6 hours. She read an entire book about fighter pilots. She did not tell her mother. She did not cry. She decided something that morning, sitting cross-legged on industrial carpet between 2 metal shelves. She decided she would become the kind of person who never got left behind in a library again. She enlisted in the Canadian Armed Forces at 18. She trained as a combat engineer at CFB Gagetown. She deployed to Kandahar province twice, first in 2012, then again in 2014, the final rotation. She cleared IEDs from roads that did not have names on any map. She carried 60 pounds of equipment in 40-degree heat and made decisions in 3 seconds that most people take 3 hours to think about. She came home with a scar on her left forearm from a piece of shrapnel that missed her radial artery by 2 centimeters, and a quiet steadiness that never left her. After her discharge, she enrolled at the University of Toronto on a veteran's bursary, earned a degree in computer science, and started Citadel North in a basement apartment in Scarborough with 1 laptop and a contract from a regional credit union that needed a security audit. 7 years later, the company's annual revenue is $42 million. Tamika does not talk about Jane and Finch in interviews. She does not talk about the food bank bag or the library. She talks about her team. She talks about encryption protocols. She talks about the gap between the systems we trust and the systems that actually protect us. But when she drives past Driftwood Avenue on the way to the airport, her hands tighten on the steering wheel, and she does not loosen them until she is on the 401. Esme Dadson is 8 years old. She is in grade 3. She likes space, specifically Mars, because Mars has 2 moons, and Esme says that is better than 1. She puts hot sauce on her scrambled eggs, which Tamika finds personally offensive and allows anyway. She calls Tamika Mum with a rising note at the end, like every sentence she directs at her mother is also a question. Esme has never been told she does not belong somewhere. The invitation arrives 3 weeks before the gala. Heavy cardstock, embossed in gold. The Ridgewood Country Club annual charity gala, benefiting youth literacy programs across the Halton region. Tamika is listed as the keynote speaker. Her company, Citadel North, is the evening's presenting sponsor. Her personal donation this year is $75,000. Ridgewood Country Club sits at the end of a private drive off Lakeshore Road in Oakville. The grounds were part of a lakefront estate built in 1912 by a timber baron whose portrait still hangs above the fireplace in the members' lounge. The trees along the driveway are old maples, the kind that arch overhead and form a canopy that turns golden over and looks for a moment like something from a painting of a country that no longer exists. A brass plaque beside the front door reads, "Established 1912. Tradition, excellence, community." Tamika and Esme arrive at 6:20 p.m. Tamika is wearing a dark green dress and small gold earrings that Esme picked out. Esme is wearing a lavender dress with a ribbon at the waist that she has been adjusting every 30 seconds since they left the car. They walk through the front entrance together. Esme sees the dessert table before they reach the foyer. Her eyes go wide. Tamika laughs. A short, real laugh that softens the lines around her eyes and tells Esme she can look at the buffet after she eats something with a vegetable in it. For 3 minutes, this is just a mother and her daughter at a party. The air smells like cedar and roasted lamb. String lights cross the ceiling of the South Hall. Everything is polished. Tamika leaves Esme near the buffet and walks toward the stage to check the microphone with the AV coordinator. She is scheduled to speak at 7:15. Esme, plate in hand, walks to the bread station. She places a dinner roll and 2 cherry tomatoes on her plate. Carefully, the way a child does when she has been told vegetables come first. She reaches for a second roll. Lorraine Huxley has been circling the South Hall since the doors opened. She is 63. Silver hair pinned tight, pearl necklace. Committee chairwoman for the last 9 years. She calls what she does quality assurance. What it means is she is watching every face in the room, sorting them, deciding who fits. Lorraine's gaze stops on Esme. She does not ask the girl's name. She does not check the guest list. She does not look for a parent. She crosses 14 feet of marble, places her hand on Esme's wrist, and pulls. This is not a playground. Neighborhood children do not eat here. Where are your parents? Who let you in? The plate hits the floor, the crack carries across the hall. A cherry tomato rolls under a table. The string lights keep glowing. The room does not stop, but it slows. Lorraine pulls Esme toward the service corridor. Esme's shoes slide on the marble. Her ribbon comes undone. A waiter standing by the carving station freezes, holding a knife mid-air, and does nothing. 19 guests see it. 3 will later provide written statements. One woman at a nearby table covers her mouth with her hand. A man in a charcoal suit turns his chair away. A 26-year-old woman named Dina, seated near the dessert table, lifts her phone and presses record. The clip runs 41 seconds. Second 1 through 5. Esme stands at the buffet, plate in hand, reaching for a roll. Second 6. Lorraine's hand enters from the right, her fingers close on Esme's wrist. Second 9. The plate tilts. Second 10. It hits the marble. Second 12 through 25. Lorraine pulls Esme toward the corridor. The ribbon trails on the floor. Second 26. Tamika's voice comes through the hall speakers. She is testing the microphone. She turns. She sees. Second 28. Tamika steps off the stage. She does not run. She walks. Every person between her and Esme moves aside without being asked. Second 32. Tamika reaches Lorraine. She does not touch her. She speaks one sentence, and the microphone, still live and clipped to her collar, carries it to every corner of the room. That is my daughter. Lorraine's hand opens. Esme's wrist drops. Lorraine adjusts her necklace and says, "Well, someone should have told me she was with the program." Tamika does not answer. She kneels on the marble floor, picks up the ribbon, and ties it around Esme's waist. She straightens the collar of the lavender dress. She stands. She takes Esme's hand. She walks toward the exit. As she passes the nearest table, she speaks. Not to Lorraine, not to the room. Quiet enough that only the microphone and 400 people hear it. Her name is Esme. She is 8. She wanted a dinner roll. They leave. The gala continues, but the string lights look different now, dimmer. The lamb goes cold on the buffet. And the 41-second clip is already uploading to the internet from Dina's phone, time-stamped 6:47 p.m., with a one-line caption. This just happened at a charity gala in Oakville. By midnight, 300,000 views. By Tuesday morning, 1.8 million. CP24 runs the clip before the weather. The CBC picks it up by noon. The Globe and Mail publishes a column before dinner. The headline cycle begins. Veteran CEO's daughter dragged from charity gala at Oakville Country Club. The video speaks for itself. But the details are worth walking through slowly, because the details are where the truth lives, and the truth is uglier than 41 seconds can show. Monday afternoon, 2 p.m., Ridgewood Country Club releases a 70-word statement. We regret any misunderstanding that may have occurred during a private charitable event. Ridgewood Country Club welcomes all guests and is committed to reviewing our event procedures. 70 words. No name, no acknowledgement of a child, no apology to Esme, no mention of a broken plate or a dragged wrist. The word misunderstanding again, as though a 63-year-old woman pulling an 8-year-old across a marble floor is a matter of semantics. Lorraine Huxley issues her own statement through a family publicist. Mrs. Huxley did not realize the child was a guest of the event. She was acting in the interest of event security. Any parent would understand. Any parent would understand. Sit with that sentence. Tamika Dadson releases a statement through Citadel North's communications office. It is 4 sentences. She does not mention Lorraine. She does not threaten legal action. She does not raise her voice, even on paper. My daughter asked me why a stranger grabbed her arm at a party where we were invited. She asked me if she did something wrong by being hungry. I am still looking for the right answer. I am not sure one exists. That statement travels farther than the video. It is shared without context, without the clip, just the text. Because people recognize the weight of a mother choosing words, the way you handle something that might shatter if you press too hard. A Toronto radio host reads the statement on air Wednesday morning and then sits silent for 5 seconds before the next segment. That silence says everything. The rally builds. An interfaith coalition, 2 united churches, a mosque in Mississauga, a Sikh Gurdwara in Brampton, and a Catholic parish in Hamilton, announces a peaceful gathering outside Ridgewood for Saturday. Expected attendance, 200. By Thursday, 600 have registered. Organizers print extra signs. The signs say one thing: who belongs here? Local businesses respond. A bakery on Lakeshore Road puts a handwritten sign in its window. All children eat here. A barbershop on Kerr Street tapes a printout of Tamika's statement to the door. Small gestures. But in Oakville, where politeness is a form of currency and silence is a form of agreement, a handwritten sign in a bakery window is a small act of defiance. And in the background, a detail nobody is paying attention to yet. 4 years ago, the town of Oakville approved a municipal property tax exemption for Ridgewood Country Club, $1.4 million over 10 years, in exchange for what the application called community benefit programming, youth sports clinics, public cultural events, and an annual scholarship fund for local students. Nobody asked what community benefit actually meant. They are about to. The sponsors move first. Within 72 hours of the video, 3 corporate sponsors of the Ridgewood Gala send formal letters of termination. Lakeview Savings, a regional credit union; Peninsula Hotels, a hospitality group with 9 properties across southern Ontario; and Marchetti Wines, a distributor that has supplied the club's bar program for 11 years. Each letter is under a page. Each uses the same careful corporate phrasing: brand alignment review, reputational considerations, effective immediately, combined value, $290,000, gone before the weekend. 2 corporate clients quietly rebook their holiday parties at other venues. A charity that held its annual fundraiser at Ridgewood for 8 consecutive years announces it is exploring alternatives. Gaps appear in the club's events calendar. Each cancellation is polite. Each one stings. Hugh Huxley, Lorraine's husband, 66, chairman of the Ridgewood board and managing partner of a commercial real estate firm, receives a different kind of notice. His firm holds a consulting contract on a provincial infrastructure project that routes through a logistics company whose cybersecurity audit was performed by Citadel North. The contract has been under routine review for 3 months. The review concludes, the contract is not renewed. This is not retaliation. Tamika does not call anyone. The review predates the gala by 90 days. But timing has gravity. And in Oakville, people notice when a Huxley loses a contract the same week a Dadson's daughter is dragged from a buffet. Now step back and look at the board. 72 hours ago, Lorraine Huxley assumed she had the authority to decide who eats at a charity gala and who does not. She looked at an 8-year-old black girl in a lavender dress and saw a trespasser. She grabbed her wrist, spoke 6 words, and expected the room to agree. 72 hours later, her husband's sponsors are running, his contracts are thinning, and the woman whose child she begrabbed employs more people in Ontario than the Huxley family's entire professional network. But Tamika says nothing about it. She does not comment on the sponsors. She does not mention Hugh's contract. She does not gloat. Tamika Dadson understands something Lorraine Huxley has never had to learn. Power that announces itself is power that has already peaked. But here is what matters. The sponsors are gone, the money is moving, and Lorraine has been embarrassed. Yet the institution that shaped her, that trained her eye to scan a room and sort people by appearance, is still standing. The Ridgewood board has not spoken. Its membership rolls remain sealed. Its 112 years of tradition are a wall that 3 sponsor letters cannot breach. To crack that wall, someone will need to look at the foundation, and that someone is already looking. His name is Wes Chakrabarty. He has been investigating Ridgewood for 6 months, and the access to information response he filed in January just landed on his desk. Wes is 41. He is a reporter for the Oakville Standard, a former Crown prosecutor's assistant who left law for journalism because he wanted to ask questions that did not have predetermined answers. He filed a Freedom of Information request, targeting Ridgewood's membership application records. His legal basis: the club receives a public tax exemption from the town of Oakville, which subjects certain administrative records to Ontario's Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Ridgewood fought the request for 5 months. Its lawyers argued private association rights. The Information and Privacy Commissioner disagreed. The records arrived the Monday after the video went viral. Wes opens the file at his kitchen table. He builds a spreadsheet. Column A, applicant name. Column B, year. Column C, race, as self-identified on the application form. Column D, outcome. 12 years of applications. 54 from non-white families. 51 rejected. 94%. For white applicants over the same period, the rejection rate is 9%. Wes reads the numbers 3 times. He runs them through 2 different methods. The gap does not close. 94% of non-white applicants rejected versus 9% of white applicants. At an institution receiving $1.4 million in public tax relief, the rejection letters are identical. Every single one. Same 5-word phrase. Character and community alignment review. Same polite closing. We thank you for your interest in Ridgewood and wish you well. No explanation, no appeal process, only the names change. Wes cross-references the rejected applicants. Among the 51 non-white families denied membership, a cardiac surgeon at Trillium Health Partners, a retired lieutenant colonel, with 2 meritorious service medals, a family that owns 11 commercial properties in downtown Oakville, a couple who both hold doctoral degrees from the University of Toronto. Their combined credentials would fill a wall. The committee found every one of them lacking in character, and every rejected non-white application passed through one committee, the Social and Membership Committee, chaired for the last 9 years by Lorraine Huxley. Wes pulls the next thread. The municipal tax exemption filing. The application promises community benefit programming, including youth sports clinics, cultural events open to the public, and an annual scholarship fund for local students. Wes checks. No youth sports clinic has been held. No public cultural event has been documented. The scholarship fund was listed as under development in 2022 and has not been referenced since. He calls the town clerk's office and asks for compliance reports filed by Ridgewood under the exemption's community benefit clause. The clerk checks. There are none. Not one filing in 4 years. The community benefit is a phantom. The $1.4 million in tax relief is flowing to an institution that promised public service and delivered nothing. A former front desk coordinator named Janelle Walsh contacts Wes after reading his first article excerpt online. She worked at Ridgewood from 2018 to 2023. She quit 5 months ago. She provides a sworn affidavit, notarized and reviewed by her lawyer. In it, she states she was instructed to flag applications from non-legacy families and route them to the committee for additional review. She understood non-legacy to mean non-white. The flagging system was not digital. It was a small red dot from a felt tip marker on the top right corner of the folder. A red dot. That is how a 112-year-old institution sorted its applicants. No algorithm, no database, just a circle of ink that said, without saying, this one is different. Wes publishes his findings in a 3-part investigative series. Part 1, the membership data. Part 2, the tax exemption. Part 3, Janelle Walsh's affidavit. Each article includes Ridgewood's response, a 2-sentence statement from a retained communications firm. Ridgewood Country Club has always operated within applicable law. We reject any characterization of discriminatory practices. 2 sentences, 51 rejections, a red dot, a brass plaque that says tradition, excellence, community, and an 8-year-old girl whose cherry tomatoes are still on a marble floor. If you have ever kept receipts when nobody believed you, drop 1 word in the comments. We will know what it means. The Huxley family does not crumble quietly. 4 days after Wes's series publishes, a letter arrives at Tamika's office and a second copy at the Oakville Standard's newsroom, sent by certified mail from Graydon, Beach & Associates, a firm whose downtown Toronto office occupies the 32nd floor of a Bay Street tower. 3 pages. It threatens defamation action against Tamika, the Standard, and Wes personally. Claimed damages, $3 million. The central argument. The incident at the gala was a private misunderstanding weaponized by media coverage. Within 48 hours, a cluster of anonymous social media accounts begins posting about Tamika. New accounts, stock photo avatars, no history before this week. The theme. Tamika Dadson is a publicity-seeking fraud who staged the incident for media attention. One account posts a doctored screenshot suggesting Tamika contacted a reporter before the gala. Another claims she coached Esme to approach the buffet alone. The posts circulate. They reach Esme's school. On Thursday, 2 of Esme's classmates repeat something they heard at home. "Your mum just wants attention." One says it at recess. The other writes it on a sticky note and presses it to Esme's desk. Esme comes home that afternoon and does not speak during dinner. She sits at the kitchen table and pushes her rice in circles with her fork. Tamika asks about school. Esme shrugs. Tamika asks if something happened. Esme shrugs again. Then, without looking up, she asks a question that stops the room. "Mum, am I on the news because I did something bad?" Tamika sets down her fork. She breathes once. "No, Esme, you are on the news because of someone else's choices." Esme nods. She does not eat. A child who was grabbed for reaching for food now will not reach for food. That night, after Esme falls asleep, curled on her side with one arm draped over a stuffed rabbit she has had since she was 3, named Cosmo because Esme named it during her space phase, and the name stuck. Tamika sits in the hallway outside Esme's bedroom. Her back is against the wall. Her legs are stretched across the hardwood. The furnace hums. The hallway light is the only one still on. She closes her eyes and she is 10 years old again. Driftwood Avenue. The school library. The conservation area field trip cost $12 and Mrs. Aldridge said she could sit in the library while the others went. 6 hours between 2 metal shelves. Nobody checked on her. Nobody asked why a 5th grader was spending the day alone in a room that smelled like old paper and floor cleaner. 34 years later, her daughter's cherry tomatoes are on a marble floor, and a woman's hand is on her wrist, and the words are different. Neighborhood children instead of a quiet hallway. But the architecture is the same. Someone decided a child did not belong at the table, and no one in the room stopped it until it was too late. Tamika pulls out her phone. She scrolls through the anonymous accounts, the stock photo faces, the word fraud repeated like a drumbeat. She sets the phone face down on the floor. She picks up the cease and desist letter. She reads it again. The word damages appears 5 times. She folds the letter. She walks to the kitchen. She drinks a glass of water. She stands at the window. The street light outside casts a line of light across the counter. She picks up the phone. She calls Ingrid Fournier. It is 11:50 p.m. Ingrid answers on the second ring. She has been waiting. "Mum, am I on the news because I did something bad?" "Bro." She is 8. She reached for a bread roll. That is literally it. Stay with this. The evidence that changes everything is 60 seconds away. Ingrid Fournier is 49. She runs a civil rights litigation practice out of a converted row house in Montreal's Plateau neighborhood. She has argued 4 discrimination cases before federal courts and won 3. She does not take cases for publicity. She takes them because the mathematics of injustice offends her, and she is very good at mathematics. Ingrid listens to Tamika for 40 minutes. She asks 9 questions. Then she gives her assessment in 1 sentence. "We do not sue the woman. We sue the structure. The legal target is not Lorraine Huxley. The legal target is the tax exemption itself, a private institution receiving $1.4 million in public relief while operating an exclusionary membership system." Ingrid takes the case pro bono. Then comes the moment no one expected, a special meeting of the Oakville Town Council. Councillor Rhea Kapoor, 53, the only woman of color on the 7-member council, an 11-year veteran of municipal government, takes the floor during open comments. She announces a formal review of the Ridgewood tax exemption, citing public interest and the standards reporting. Then she pauses, and she says something that changes the shape of the conversation. "I applied to Ridgewood Country Club in 2020. My application was rejected under their character and community alignment review. I have served this town for 11 years. I hold a law degree from Osgood Hall. I sit on this council, and they found my character lacking." The chamber goes silent. For 4 seconds, the only sound is the ventilation system above the gallery. Then Rhea Kapoor continues speaking, steady and unhurried, as though she has been rehearsing this sentence for 4 years and is finally saying it aloud. The wall has cracked, but it has not fallen. To bring it down, someone inside the wall will have to open a door. Philip Morrison, the groom's father at the gala. No, this is a gala, not a wedding. Let me adjust. Derek Huxley. No, let me not use that approach. Instead, a board member named Lawrence Tate, 61, who has sat on the Ridgewood board for 7 years and voted to approve the tax exemption application, contacts Wes Chakrabarti through an encrypted email. He sends one attachment, an internal email from Hugh Huxley, board chairman, to the membership coordinator, sent 9 days before the gala. Subject line, Event Protocol, Confidential. The body reads, Flag non-legacy attendees. Use discretion at club functions. We cannot have a repeat of the golf tournament incident. This stays between us. 4 sentences, 27 words. Written 9 days before Lorraine Huxley grabbed an 8-year-old girl at a buffet and told her she did not belong. Flag non-legacy attendees. That is not ambiguous. Use discretion at club functions. Discretion, the word Lorraine used when she scanned the South Hall and found the one child who did not match. This stays between us, it did not. Wes verifies the email. The article runs the next morning. Within 6 hours, every major outlet in Ontario has it. By evening, the story is national. The National Post, the Star, the CBC, all of them. Hugh Huxley responds through his lawyer. He says the email is taken out of context and that non-legacy refers to attendees without a member invitation, not to race. His lawyer emphasizes private association rights. But in the records Wes has already published, 89% of non-legacy attendees who were white were welcomed without incident. The welcome rate for non-legacy attendees who were not white is 4%. The context is already on the record. The email fills in the last blank space. He wrote flag non-legacy attendees, hit send, and went about his morning. 9 days later, they dragged a kid from a buffet. You cannot make this up. Comment section, go. Ontario Superior Court. A Wednesday morning, 7 weeks after an 8-year-old girl reached for a dinner roll at a country club gala. The courtroom smells like old wood and coffee. The gallery is full. Residents, reporters, sketch artists, and a row of Ridgewood board members in dark suits who stare straight ahead and speak to no one. Ingrid Fournier rises. Her argument takes 12 minutes. She presents the case in 4 clean strokes. The $1.4 million in public tax relief granted for community programming that was never delivered. 12 years of membership data showing a 94% rejection rate for non-white applicants. A former employee's sworn account of a flagging system built on red dots, and an internal email from the board chairman ordering staff to flag non-legacy 9 days before the gala. She asks the court for an interim injunction freezing the tax exemption pending a formal review. The club's lawyer argues private association rights. Justice Marianne Liu listens. She writes 4 notes. She does not interrupt. Then she calls Lorraine Huxley to the stand. Ingrid's questioning is brief. She asks Lorraine to describe her role on the committee. Lorraine answers in measured terms. She asks Lorraine to describe what happened on the evening of September 14th. Lorraine repeats the language from her public statement. She did not realize the child was a guest. She was concerned about security. It was a misunderstanding. Then Ingrid places the email on the stand. Mrs. Huxley, please read this email aloud for the court. Lorraine looks at the document. Her hands rest on the edges of the paper. For a moment, nothing moves. Then her hands begin to shake, a small, steady tremor that travels from her fingers to the page, making it quiver against the wood. She reads, Flag non-legacy attendees. Her voice drops. Use discretion at club functions. She pauses. We cannot have a repeat of the golf tournament incident. Please read the final sentence. The tremor deepens. This stays between us. The courtroom is still. Justice Liu reviews the evidence for 25 minutes. She asks the club's lawyer one question. Can you identify any community benefit programming delivered by Ridgewood since the exemption was granted in 2021? The lawyer pauses. We are in the process of developing those programs, Your Honor. Justice Liu writes her ruling. The interim injunction is granted. The $1.4 million tax exemption is frozen, pending a formal review by the town of Oakville. The court's reasoning read aloud. When public funds enter a private institution, the public acquires standing to ask how those funds are spent and whom they serve. The evidence before this court raises substantial questions about whether public money has been used to subsidize exclusionary practices inconsistent with the stated purpose of the exemption. Tamika Dadson sits in the gallery. She does not speak. She does not smile. When the ruling is announced, she nods once. A small, controlled movement that carries more weight than any statement she could make. This is not a celebration. It is a correction. 2 weeks after the ruling, the Ridgewood Board votes 5-2 to suspend its legacy veto policy. Lorraine Huxley resigns from the Social and Membership Committee. Hugh Huxley steps down as chairman. The town of Oakville opens a formal review of the tax exemption with a public hearing scheduled for October. Tamika does not sue Lorraine individually. Her statement is one paragraph. This was never about one woman at one buffet. It was about the system that put her hand on my daughter's wrist and told her it was appropriate. On a Saturday afternoon in late October, the Interfaith Coalition hosts a community picnic in Coronation Park, along the shore of Lake Ontario. Long tables, paper plates, the smell of jerk chicken and cedar smoke drifting across the grass. Maple leaves scatter in the wind off the water. Esme Dadson stands at the food table. She is wearing a t-shirt and sneakers. No lavender dress, no ribbon. She reaches for a dinner roll. No one stops her. Someone passes her the hot sauce. She puts it on everything. Tamika watches from 3 meters away, a paper plate in her own hand. And for the first time in 7 weeks, her shoulders loosen. A child reaches for food. And this time, every hand at the table opens. Tradition is not a license. Decorum is not a weapon. And no child, not one, should ever be taught that a dinner table is the measure of her belonging. Ridgewood is not the only club in Oakville. It is not the only club in Ontario. And the question an 8-year-old girl asked her mother, "Mom, am I on the news because I did something bad?" is being asked tonight in other hallways by other children, in other cities where brass plaques say tradition and mean something else entirely. We will be listening. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and if you have a moment, leave a comment. Tell us about the time someone told you that you did not belong. We read everyone.